So welcome back to Hipsterless Hangout. I said the name right, so that means we're off on a good start.
Gonna remind you of that, then I thought, oh shit, before it started, I didn't, so I was praying.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
What episode is this? I
I think
don't.
I think this is either 4 or 5. It's the wrestler. It's gosh, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead. It's the whale. What else is it?
I think it's number.
Clueless.
I don't think it really matters all that much, but I'm asking because I was gonna say welcome to Hipsterless Hangout episode. Help me
Mm-hmm.
out,
I
but
think
let's
5.
just say I think it's episode 5. Yep. So we are starting off by reviewing Melancholia. This movie is, or was at least, offered for free on Hulu, starring Kirsten Dunst. And oh, that actor, I like him a lot. He is in The Glass House, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, um, that movie with Robin Williams, Good Will Hunting, with Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Robin Williams. Do you know who I'm referring to?
Gosh, I absolutely don't. Is he an older guy? He must be an
Yeah,
older.
he would be
Okay.
now, definitely.
Who is he in Melancholia?
You know, speaking of which, I wasn't into this movie enough to really know. I just remember he was in it. So we could maybe
Okay.
circle back to that, but you had selected this one as your pick of the week. So how about you begin with telling our ever so curious audience and me why?
Yeah. Well, I got into Lars Von Trier, the director of this, by the film Antichrist, which is part of his Depression trilogy. He made 3 films about depression. That one, this film, Melancholia, and then his film after this, Nymphomaniac. And he is one of the forefront of modern independent art house films. He has a whole theory of films that he ascribes to. This is not part of it, but it's a very minimalistic directing style. He likes to have things like natural lighting, no dialogue, no prep, no scene blocking. He does um, music that is incidental to filming. He does like his own editing, his own writing. It's this whole, I guess you could say, philosophy of film that I find to be interesting. And every once in a while, a director like that will end up with a budget. And it's really interesting to see what they do with it. It's like, will they do? Darren Aronofsky did a film about Noah with Russell Crowe. Um, and Lars von Trier will do a indie sort of bizarre, slow art film about the end of the world. That's what he'll do with a budget. I just think it's fascinating to see what these people will do. And I love to see the indie art film actors. This film is chock full of them. Charlotte Gainsbourg, Stellan Skarsgård, uh, his son, Alex Skarsgård, Udo Kier. This movie is chock full of just bizarre, off the wall indie actors, incongruity with like A-list Hollywood people. It's just so bizarre to see the two worlds collide, which is literally what the movie is about. It's about two worlds colliding. And if nothing else, I kind of like it in that experimental way. But my friend Reese kind of clued me into this after I saw Antichrist. I then watched The House That Jack's Built, which is another movie he did. And then I watched this one. And I will straight up admit, because I know the first thing you're going to say, I'll straight up admit that the first time I tried to watch this, I turned it off because I was like, this is too boring. This is too slow. Um, and that was your experience, right?
Yeah, I eventually finished it, stretched over maybe like a week or 2 week period. I, in general, don't do well with slow paced movies. And unfortunately for me, some have grown on me over time. If I rewatch The Graduate, for instance, with Dustin Hoffman, maybe I would be more into that movie because it is a classic. Um, and it's worth watching at least once. But in general, movies that just don't move at a satisfying pace that I consider to be up to par, I just, it eliminates them in terms of respectability and enjoyment, of course, which is why we watch films primarily. So, unfortunately for me, that has kind of excluded a lot of movies that would be basically within my genre of interest or of interest. And this was not one that I'm likely to see again. I do like Kirsten Dunst, and the other actor, one of the actors, I don't know his name, but he's in a couple of movies which I've really liked. And he's good at playing sadistic, evil, plotting. Um, the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, have you seen that? The one that came out in 2008, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I think you are talking about Stellan Skarsgård. He's he's a older because he's in Good Will Hunting. I just googled that. Let me Google. But The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is a Swedish film, so he's likely in that too. Um, he's in this. He plays her employer, and there's like a scene where, well, none of his scenes are that memorable, but he's just kind of like a side character, right? He's just some side character in the beginning part.
He was her employer. That is who he played. He's
Okay.
good. This actor, I've seen him in 3 movies. I didn't like the movie Good Will Hunting for various reasons, but he's in that, and he did well
Yes.
enough. He's in The Glass House,
Okay.
which was long, and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I love that movie, the one that came out in 2008. There are numerous adaptations of
Hmm.
that particular film, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But the one I'm referring to with Mara Rooney was in 2008, in which he is in, and he did a
Yeah.
great job. So I do like him, so I took that away from the film, at least.
Yeah, and he's a frequent collaborator with Lars Von Trier. He's in Nymphomaniac. He's also in Breaking the Waves, and he's one of the people I said is like one of the big iconic indie film actors going back for like generations. And did you know that he is the real life father of the guy in Melancholia who plays Kirsten Dunst's husband?
No, so is it a family of actors? Was his
Yeah.
father and grandfather also in film? Is it like a nepotism thing?
Yeah. Are we gonna hashtag confront nepotism? You know? No. Um, but yeah, they are. It's Stellan Skarsgård, Alexander Skarsgård, and then Bill Skarsgård, who was in the movie It, the recent It movies that came out. Not the
I
one with Tim Curry.
That one was just too funny. I saw the one in 2000 that came out in 20. I think it was produced in 2017, but I saw it in theaters in 2018, I believe, and I just sat there rolling my eyes through the whole thing and was not impressed. But I do like that actor. What is his name again?
Bill Skarsgård. Well, in It, it's Bill Skarsgård.
Is he
But
Scandinavian? Is he Swedish? Because that last name. Oh, he is.
yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah, they're either Norwegian, Danish, or Swedish. I don't actually know.
Do you think they like black metal?
They better. Okay, according to this, they are Swedish. Yeah, they're Swedish.
I'm sure they are black metal fans. I should find out. Well, I do like, on that note, or not on that note in particular, on a whole different note, I do like apocalyptic movies. I Am Legend is one very good one. Independence Day came out a long time ago. But movies like Deep Impact and what are some other ones? Those are the three that came to mind right away. But I do tend to like apocalyptic movies. End of the world and the whole human race. I quite enjoy that most of the time. So I thought that I would give it a try because why not?
Definitely. No, I do too. And I do think that this movie is too slow. I'm going to say that even as a fan, but what I like about it is the two different chapters. You have part 1, which is a wedding of Kirsten Dunst to Alexander Skarsgård, and it's I would accuse this part of being the slow uh kind of, if you're going to turn it off, you're going to turn it off at this part because there's endless scenes of just like her sort of wandering around and her just going into a room and sitting down and sort of just looking around. Like there's some of these, it doesn't have momentum, but what I like about it is that it has all these things happen without explanation. And then during the second part, which moves, in my opinion, a little bit faster, in which several months later, her and her sister are both just waiting for the planet to collide. Um, what I like about the film overall is that I sort of view the two halves as two different reactions to kind of the same thing. And this was my take that I told you about before recording, is like I sort of view the movie as looking at the way that depression affects somebody, and then the second part is looking at the way that anxiety affects somebody. Because the first part is, I think, intentionally really slow, really dull, and really sort of destructive in a quiet, slow, resigned way. And then the second part is a lot more manic, a lot more emotional, a lot more isolating, and it feels a lot more wild and out of control. So in a way, that was my take. That was kind of what I liked about it, is the way that it is. I think it's really not about the comet. It's really not about the end of the world. I think it's really just looking at the way in which we as people deal with things when we're under a psychological distressor like depression or anxiety.
Right. Well, and that makes sense. I mean, I enjoy watching human reactions to, as we discussed previously and Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, human reactions to crises. I think those observations, depending on the personality of the character and his or her own, just the way that the way that he or she handles handles themselves psychologically, behaviorally, emotionally, can be really interesting to observe. My issue also with slow paced movies in general, maybe the primary overriding issue, aside from just boredom, is as you described in the first half of the film, it seems very self indulgent. So when a director directs, assumingly, the actors or actresses to sit there and not really contribute anything that's immediately, maybe it is eventually, but something that doesn't seem immediately applicable or relevant to the film, it's very self indulgent. You know, it's expecting us to remain interested or captivated enough by the essence of these characters that we're just going to sit there and be fascinated and wait for it to get better. And that type of kind of indulgence in his or her own directing style just rubs me the wrong way, and it always has.
Right. It's very much like, well, you didn't get it. You can automatically hear the director or like the artist in this case just saying like, well, you didn't get it because you have to sit with her in this emotion and you have to watch as she stares at a wall, and it's like, oh, come on, there's other ways to show it than to have like 20 minutes in your movie where nothing happens. there's
Yeah,
there's a lot better ways to show it.
yeah, I did get it. I got that it wasn't immediately applicable or relevant to the film, and you expect me to be so intrigued that I'm going to be pondering this character and how it's related to the psycho development. Come on. I'm not going to do that. I have, better things to do and movies that work a little harder. It's a lack of effort too. It's like there's a inherent laziness, and it goes back to that self-indulgent nature of, yeah, that pomposity of, you didn't get it, you're not complex enough of a thinker to have perceived the idea that I was communicating. And it's lazy. It's an excuse to be lazy and to not use other methods and other techniques, other environmental stimuli to captivate an audience. And I guess I don't get it.
Well, what about the second part? I mean, were you pretty much already tuned out by then, or did the second part where we sort of switch narratives and now it follows Charlotte Gainsbourg, who plays her sister. It follows that character a little bit more, and it's the sequence where the planet is coming closer and they're watching it and they're kind of on the farm. Did that part work better for you at all?
I tried to get reinvested in the movie if I ever was invested at that point. So I tried to get invested. I think I could drop the re because I'm not sure if I ever exactly was.
Right.
But I tried to. I think maybe if I had started the movie like a third of the way in, and hence the transition had happened more immediately, then maybe it would have been more interesting. Because yeah, there was a notable change of pace, and the tension was building and had built and was continuing to build by that point. And I like apocalyptic movies, so maybe I'll give that latter part another try, because I've always liked that frenzied end of the world approaching, the desecration of the human race theme in films. And even if they're not my cup of tea exactly, a lot of the ones I have seen were good enough.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing I like about it is if you, especially in my interpretation, there's a few unexpected twists. So Kiefer Sutherland plays Charlotte Gainsbourg's husband, and he's sort of this wealthier, more grounded man in the film, and then he ends up killing himself in Melancholia when he discovers that the planets are going to collide. I thought that was an interesting turn because you don't see it coming. And then, of course, the end of the film, the planets collide, everybody dies. This is one of those movies where everybody dies. And I also think that that's kind of a little bit unexpected. So I think that for me, the first half does sag and it does drag a lot. And then it's bolstered by the second half, which I find to be a lot more interesting. How did you actually like the end and all that stuff.
I thought from a visual standpoint, it was mesmerizing. I think also watching a child, watching the little boy in it and how he was addressing what was going on was interesting. Did he know basically what was happening? The son of Kirsten Dunst's nephew, I suppose?
I don't believe they did. I don't believe they told him. I don't think he knew. No.
Hmm. Yeah, I just thought watching him was interesting as well because watching a younger person just react in times of crisis, whether they fully understand the gravity of the situation, I do remember being interested in watching his reaction and kind of gauging Kirsten Dunst's acting. And she looks, when did this movie come out? Because she,
2011.
okay. Yeah, she's aged pretty well. She seems to have a very continuous look. You know, she doesn't fluctuate a lot in terms of her hair color or body shape or pigment, or she's a sort of consistent actress. And how did you like her in this film?
I think she's really good. I think she has. I was just listening to a podcast actually where they talked about her. I think she has this transcendent acting ability to tell a lot just in her eyes. She has this kind of darkness or some sort of bizarre depth that she can show just even in a blank stare, even in scenes without a lot of dialogue. I thought she was very good in this. And what did you think? Because we actually were talking about her last recording too when we were talking about child actors.
Yeah, she got those same accolades for Interview with a Vampire back when that was her, if not her first, one of her very first roles. And one of the reviews I read about that movie was that she had the ability, even at that age, to embody this very mature, uh, deep, resonating, kind of wise beyond her years energy. And yeah, I agree with her eyes and with her expressions. It's a very intense, knowing type of energy. And for somebody who can also do fluffy movies and do those relatively well, I've always appreciated her versatility, and it looks like she still has it. 2011 is a long time ago now. What has she been in more recently?
The only thing that I know of right off is that she was in a movie last year called Civil War. Um, and that was good. She plays a dark, sort of traumatized character. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you right off between 2011 and last year. I couldn't like mention anything else. I think she did disappear. I'm sure she was in stuff I didn't see, but I haven't seen her in anything in a while.
She's really good at bouncing between both those worlds. So she's definitely done mainstream movies. She was in Bring It On, she was in Giamungi. She has also done indie films, and I like that kind of flexibility where she doesn't seem like she's making some kind of statement like I'm so seasoned and open-minded that I'm gonna take, for scale pay some smaller film that probably not a lot of people will see and which doesn't have much longevity in the box office. And it doesn't seem like she does it for any other reason than her artistic talent. But she's also done the Spider-Man movies, and so I like that she does both.
Me too. And I would say if she continues on the road that she's on now, she could very well become elevated to one of my favorite of all time because I do think she's really good, like you say, in kind of the popcorn Spider-Man type movie, and then I think she's excellent in this kind of really good dramatic role. If something came along and used her to the height of her ability, I think she could very well win like a Academy Award or something.
Well, and what I was saying before about her consistency, I don't think she even got her, no offense, Kirsten or Kirsten or however it's pronounced, but I don't think she got her teeth done. They're kind of uneven, and that gives her face kind of a unique quality. She didn't do anything else, as far as I know, to enhance her looks, and she's maintained kind of a consistent physique, and so I always noticed that about her, that she didn't seem to succumb to pressure to maintain. I've never seen her looking super glamorous, although she could. I think she's attractive enough to, but she doesn't seem interested in that.
She does. She has kind of a perfect. I think it's why she's good in Spider-Man. She does have a perfect sort of girl next door believability to her, where she's not like you. She's not the type of girl that you'd have to like wide mouth gawk at if you saw her on the street. You would just kind of quietly notice and be like, she's really pretty, you know? But she's not, some calendar Playboy model or something like that type of hot. I mean, not to say she's not hot, because I'm sure she's, but I'm just saying, like, she's got a very unique and very accessible look almost.
Yeah, and maybe that's partly why she's able to, well, partly why, not obviously the main reason, but why she's able to kind of be versatile and go between both worlds. She's kept it organic and focused on what she betrays and brings to a character, and not whatever external is going on.
Were there any characters, any actors that you enjoyed in the movie that we haven't mentioned yet?
No, Kirsten Dunst and that other Swedish actor. I didn't know he was Swedish. I noticed that in the girl with the dragon tattoo, he has an accent, but I thought that was created or maintained for the film, which is filmed in Scandinavia. So I do like him, and he easily could become one of my, maybe not favorite, but actors that I just notice more and make an effort to remember his name, for example.
Well, it's definitely a hard one. It's got, I don't even know what it's called, but it's got one of the A's with the little circle above it, like one of those Scandinavian pronunciation type things. I don't even know what that means, but well, I think we talked about keeping this one a little bit shorter. So unless you have anything else, we could just go ahead and rate it.
Sure. No, I don't have anything else to add to it. If anybody's interested, it's for now at least offered for free on Hulu. So check it out if you would be so inclined.
Yeah, I would say check it out. I think go into it knowing it's slow, and go into it knowing it's kind of like a very personally made film. He makes films only for himself, which, again, to go back to our previous discussion, it's like there's a bit of the pomposity, a bit of the uh I guess just it's easy to criticize that type of person, but I do like strong artistic statements, and I do like films that have a very distinct feel and a very distinct palette. And I do think that, like, I'm sold on him. I've watched almost all of his movies, and I will continue to watch his movies. That said, I'm probably only going to give this like a 6, because I do think it's really slow. I think he could, and I think the conclusion point I would make is he could have made the same point better if it was more focused. And I think it would actually be a better artistic statement. So, as much as I like it, it's like, even if you just trim off half hour, it's a stronger movie. I understand you want to make what you want to make, but let's make it a little bit accessible. So I'll give it a 6.
I'm gonna give it a 3. You know, and I fully admit too that that's part of my own lack of investment in the film and ability to really get into it. But then again, if a movie, any movie, doesn't clinch me within the first 10 to 20 minutes, that's really the time to get my attention. And if it doesn't, then it's really hard to recuperate from that. So maybe I just didn't fully understand the depth and the contributions that this film had to offer. But with that being said, it didn't stimulate my attention, and so I'm hard pressed to really give it more than. I'll give it a 3.5. No, I'm going to give it a 3.
Well, somewhere between those, maybe.
No, I take that back. Just a 3.
Do you want to announce what we're doing next?
California knows how to party. I love that song. You know which song that is?
Yeah, you used to play it all the time. I remember it.
California, spelled with a K. So this movie is one that we both very, very much enjoy and have always enjoyed and respected and appreciated. Speaking of sadistic, malevolent characters, featuring Brad Pitt, who plays such, Juliette Lewis, who is one of our mutual favorite actresses. And interestingly enough, these two were actually a couple during the time of filming and were together for about 3 years. So, bet you didn't know that, did you?
Only because I looked at the Wikipedia
Oh,
for the
okay. Well,
movie. Yeah,
some
but I
other
didn't.
people might not be aware of this fact, but now they do.
Right. Yes. And this is a movie, I mean, we'll talk about it next time, but it's a movie that I clearly remember from my youth. And it also has David Duchovny from X-Files. So, I'm a big X-Files guy, so I like that.
I'm not sure how I feel about him. We'll discuss this more later, but it also has an actress who plays some specimen, some organism on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to her? Did she just do those 2 projects and then disappear off the face of the earth?
Maybe. Yeah, she's not in much, but I mean, yeah, we'll get into it, but she is really a bizarre presence. And maybe that's why she wasn't in that much.
Do you mean in the show or in the movie, or do you mean in life?
In the movie, but also kind of in the show. I think she's good at playing off-putting, and
Yeah.
maybe that translates.
Yeah, kind of those edgy. She kind of has that edgy, just rough around the edges, biker chick type of demeanor. I wouldn't want to get into an argument with her.
Me neither, definitely. So join
So,
us for that. Yeah.
yep, that'll be next time for that would be episode 6 on here on Hipsterless Hangout. Do 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 do.